40.
Say 39.
Number 1.
39.
1.
38.
37.
36.
35.
34.
33.
32.
31.
30.
29.
28. 27.
26.
25.
24.
23.
22.
21.
20.
19.
18.
17. 16.
15.
14.
13.
12.
11.
10.
9. 8.
7. 6. 5.
4.
3.
2.
1.
Sí, señor and señorito, it is time for the mouthwash. Hi, and welcome to the Mouthwash Talk Show, a minty, fresh take on politics. And we have a good show tonight. We have Dr. Ping on. He's been on the show before, and he's got a new book out. And we've already had one sales for the show tonight. Lucy actually went on Amazon and bought his book, and we'll put that little link up there so you can get on there and buy it. It's Education 4.0. It's how do you navigate with AI. I know I could use a little artificial intelligence at times, so I've never been accused of being too smart. So, hey, that artificial intelligence could help me. And we got a little treat for you, but I'm going to wait till I get the panel on. And because Lucy made a little mistake last week, she gave me a link to a little TV show that she was doing some work with back in 1988. So we're going to play a little link on that when we get him on here, but I'm going to go ahead and bring on Dr. Ping. Let's see if we can get him on here. Dr. Ping, how are you doing this evening?
Yeah, I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me in the show.
Oh, you're always, it's always a pleasure to have you on. You are one of the hardest working math teachers. You have been diligent. You are smart. I can't say enough good words about you. And yet I see that, it seems like you just aren't getting the traction and the respect you deserve with all the work that you've done. So we're going to try to highlight you tonight on the Mouthwash Show and get that word out here. And, I'm just saying the work you do and the respect you're getting doesn't add up. See what I did there with the math thing? Doesn't add up. So, hey, we got some very new viewers here that may not know who you are. So tell our viewers a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I was born and grew up in China and experienced the Cultural Revolution, and then went to college after Mao died, which was a good thing. And I really wish the current President Xi would soon be out. That would be good thing to China.
You don't want him to die, but he needs to go away. Is that what you're saying?
Go away. Just as long as it goes away, I'm fine. But anyway, it's kind of during the Cultural Revolution, 10 years, there's no college. All college was shut down. So, but after Mao died, soon after that, all the colleges opened. And so I went to college in China, and then 1984, I went to Canada for my graduate studies. And then in 1989, I was in Canada, but I was involved in organizing students and raising funds for people on the Tiananmen Square. So when that student movement crushed by the Chinese government with machine guns and tanks, and I became a political refugee, basically. So, and the Canadian government was very great, very, very nice to us and accept us and as a basically allow us to stay in Canada. And then I got both my PhD and master degrees in Canada and worked 4 years. And then I came to Indiana in 1994. So worked as engineer for 16 years. And then 2011, I became a high school math teacher. I taught in a private Christian college prep school. And that's where I saw a problem from inside out. And the standard was the bar was pushed too low, and there is a huge grade inflation to the point that even you got B and A, that doesn't mean you learn anything. So that's
I never got an A, Dr. Ping, so I don't know about that.
Well, today you probably got A plus.
I just born in the wrong era. Well, Dr. Ping, we are so glad to have you here in Indiana, and I have followed you over the few years that I've known you, and I've been, like I said, I've been very impressed with your diligence and your willingness to teach others what you know. And I mean, that the math thing, I'm a creative guy. The numbers don't like run in my head. You probably can add up a whole bunch of numbers at one time in your head and write it down. No, you calculator. All right. I've seen you play chess, and there's no way I'm going to play against you. So, well, let's see if I got enough time. I would have played a Lucy clip to bring on the rest of the people, but I don't know if I can. It's only 10 seconds long. So I'm going to play Lucy's little clip here. This is from 1988. And then we'll see. I'll see if I can click buttons fast enough in between this. So enjoy this little clip and see if you can recognize this gal here from 1988.
Graffiti. Is it art or is it anxiety? Well, our own Ken Haddle produced this short video essay so you can decide for yourself.
Hey, look, I almost did it right. Unbelievable. So, yeah. Oh, Lucy had some 80s hair going there, didn't she?
Lucy, that was great. That sweater was amazing. It all came together there.
Oh my gosh, I look like, and of course, everybody has their teenage years, right? But nobody has a friend like John.
She said, you don't have permission to play that. I said, it's my show. I just outranked her on that one. So
yeah, exactly. That was the 80s.
Yeah. So how many of those shows did you do, Lucy?
Oh gosh, I don't remember. Maybe 12, maybe 20. It was a really cool thing, and I've got to tell you, the real genius behind that was my friend Ken Haddle, who was my classmate, and he was my best friend, and haven't seen him in 35 years. So I was really
get him on the show so he can tell us some other secrets about you.
No,
we have regular viewers.
You are forbidden. You are forbidden.
All right. Well, let's get Dr. Ping out here. And if you didn't notice down here, well, we're getting ready to switch that up. We'll put Jordan on the top there. Yeah, there you go. Jordan Davis is with us. He's one of our regulars that's been off for a little bit. And so we thought, hey, we'll get the whole gang together tonight to talk about education. And so we're going to just get this thing started. Who's got some questions about that? And if you didn't notice, I put the Hamilton Southeastern high school thing back there just to stir up trouble up in the Carmel. Yeah, like Brad. So we'll let Brad get started here since he's.
Well, yeah, being from China, I actually wanted to know, I wanted to hear about his experiences in elementary school, or like what primary school was like in China, I guess.
Yeah, it's actually during the Cultural Revolution, we didn't learn anything. It's basically just we were everything is about we are the future of the China, so therefore we are not even the red guards. We're the little.
But I mean, you were taught math. I mean, you became a math teacher. You were taught math. You were taught science.
Yeah, it's actually that was after Mao died. So after the Cultural Revolution, China starting to open up, and that's where a lot of people, Chinese people, realized that we are so far behind. So therefore, we need to catch up. And so that was in the early 80s. So that was a big emphasis at that time. Since from that point on, that academics is always the number one emphasis. So
I got a question. What did you do instead of go to school? What did you do? Just like hang out at the house, or
Well, no, we still go to school, but we actually we're going to help harvesting, and we're going to help making parts in the factories. So we are supposed to learn from peasants and workers and soldiers. So we did some drills too.
So on the job training, so to speak.
Yes,
But no, they didn't want you to get too smart.
Basically, free labor, right?
Yeah, that's right. Well, and you were there during Tiananmen Square. What year was that? Was that like
89?
89.
I was
Okay.
not there. I was in
Oh, you had been gone.
Vancouver, Canada, but my wife and I actually was organizing efforts to raise funds and to support and to also get the Canadians to support that movement.
Was it easier for you to move to Canada than the United States?
Back there, actually, the government tells you where to go to. So we have this, the 5-year plans. So you get every 5 years and new plans. So they have in the plan like how many people they want to send to Canada, send to America, and send to Europe. So some people went to Europe, some people went to Canada, some people went to America. So I was picked basically to go to Canada.
So the Chinese government picked you, or
yes?
Okay, so what did you do to get thrown out?
What?
I mean, they like told you got to get out, or what do they do? They knock on your door. Hey, Dr. Ping, it's time to go. You're going.
No. You have to pass a very rigorous test.
Oh, okay.
Basically, it's a scholarship, the government scholarship.
Okay, I see.
Once you get the scholarship, then they decide where to send you to.
Okay, so you got out, and then you decided, hey, I don't want to go back. So now, do you still have?
I wanted to go back actually because during the 80s, we call the golden years of China. Things are getting better, and so people like us, we were sent by the government, and we are legally bound. Basically, have to go back because we basically got the Chinese government paid for our education, and the China government the Canadian government had an agreement that people like us, when we finish, we have to go back. We cannot stay in Canada. But the Tiananmen Square basically that threw everything into,
So is that how you are allowed to stay in Canada because of Tiananmen Square?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because Tiananmen Square, and the same thing happened in America. The American government allowed the Chinese students and scholars to stay in America.
Right.
The Canadian government allowed people in Canada to stay in Canada, and same in European countries like the UK and France and all that.
So it's all about timing. So Lucy,
it's basically it was a change of the government in some way, because before that it was the government was Zhao Ziyang. I don't know if anyone knows. He's a reformer. He wants to have political reform, but he was ousted because
he got a scholarship, so to speak. Is that right?
No. He was put in house arrest.
It's a different kind of scholarship, it's just that way. So
yeah. Yeah.
Okay, say Lucy, I'm sure you got a question. Have you already read? Lucy's probably already read your book just in the break.
Well, so full disclosure, I split my screen and I have Dr. Ping's new book on the left side and I've got you on the right side. So I'm like looking through here, but it's so nice to see you again, Dr. Ping. For all of those, Dr. Ping has been around a long time in our community. He has been a pillar. He's been helping people for years. It's probably been 6 years ago, Dr. Ping, that we were talking in Fishers at the coffee shop.
Yeah.
And he was sharing with me the most libertarian. So John, you can imagine how excited I was, the most libertarian approach to education that I've ever seen. And Dr. Ping, if I say this incorrectly, then stop and just stop me. But as I recall, you had created the school for inner city students that was basically tuition free. He worked with the students to teach them skills that allowed them to make the money that they needed for their tuition, so that it wasn't a burden on the parents, and it taught the self-sufficiency to the kids. And of course, with Dr. Ping as your teacher, you would have an absolute world-class education. And so that was the most libertarian thing I've ever seen in education, and it really intrigued me.
Yeah, that was my vision back then. And I did try to start a school like that. That didn't work out.
I did drop into your school one day, and guess what they were doing, Lucy? They were building computers and playing chess.
Yeah,
that's perfect.
I mean, they weren't that old of kids either. I mean, it was quite impressive. It was like, they probably work for SpaceX now or something. I don't know. That's been a few years.
The biggest, I think, obstacle I run into actually was the parents. And mostly the moms. So sorry.
It's okay.
It is what it is.
Because I want to help them become entrepreneurs, but moms want them to go through the traditional college route, which is much safer for them.
Yeah, that was, I remember that.
Well, they say it's much safer, but clearly it isn't, because people can't even pay their bills, or raise their family.
Right.
So, do you think that this is viable, Dr. Ping? Could somebody take your idea and run with it and actually create something that's sustainable?
Yeah, definitely, because you could have the kids. Basically, you don't need them. You don't really need that many hours in a day, so the kids can learn. They can start a business, and they can learn from business owners and working as apprentice. So it's kind of it's not new, right? This was in the old time. We're talking about, like, say, 100 years ago, right? Or even longer, back in Ben Franklin, he started as an apprentice, right? Same idea, just help them to learn a skill much early on, instead of waste their time in 4 years of kind of high school.
Yeah. Well, I would say that the homeschooling is becoming more popular now, and one of the things that I think we might see is a need for, like, say you're a mom and you don't know about math. You can say, hey, Dr. Ping, can you teach 8 kids or whatever a math lesson, so and so and so. I can almost see that kind of stuff happening as we continue to have these school board meetings with fights and just disarray, and this book's in the library and that book's in the library. I can see parents not even want to expose their kids to that stuff, right, wrong, or otherwise, and all that. So Jordan, what are you hearing here? I mean,
John, can I just
no, go ahead.
I do have an online school. So basically, I teach right now. This year, I teach pre-cal algebra 1. Sorry, pre-algebra, algebra 1, algebra 2. So those mostly are homeschool kids. So they take me.
How do we sign up? I've got 2 kids that need that.
You got to put it in the.
It has to wait for the next school year, though. Sorry.
What kind of merry-go-round is this? We can't get on in the middle of it. I used to take my kids out to the Kumon. Have you ever heard of Kumon?
I worked in Kumon for some time.
Yeah, and that's how they learn their math.
What problem I saw there is the kids actually been drilling so much that they become second nature of solving problems, but they didn't understand it. So they know how to if the problem they know how to have seen, they know how to solving it. But if you give the problem they have never known, then they have no idea. So that was a problem.
It was just enough to get them by. I can tell you that. So they must have my creative brain and not my math brain, because they were having trouble. And we have, Jay Hart. He's got a comment on here. He said, "You're such a great guy." Does anybody not like you, Dr. Ping? So far, everybody said, "Hey, how great guy you are." Genuine and caring. Our daughter really enjoyed his instruction. So
yeah,
she's in math.
She's in my class. She's really smart.
There you go. See, look. See, I can see why you like Dr. Ping. He's got compliments abounding. So Jordan Davis, you're up.
Yep. All right. So this is my question for you, Dr. Ping. First, I want to say thank you for the hard work you've been doing in the community. We need more people like you pioneering, looking after our young folks and making sure they're trained for a bright future. So with AI technology, we're starting to see that some students are becoming very highly dependent upon those things. So like GPT, aspects of that. My question would be for you, essentially two-part. How do we teach students to be able to use ChatGPT kind of as an assistant teacher versus then just a revolving door for answers? And how would we incorporate that in their in-home schooling? Like you mentioned earlier before, that lessening the school hours may be better for them overall and keeping the information retained. But if they're dependent upon a technology that may be easy to abuse, what does that look like? What does that world look like for a parent who may already have a hard time with technology and their child?
Right. Well, the thing is, AI is here to stay, right? Mm-hmm. So people are going to using it, and if you don't want kids to using it, basically it's a losing battle. But still, you can teach the kids the reason behind things. So that in that way, I mean, if something we don't know, we can use ChatGPT to do a search, but we still have to know whether or not they give us the right information. Like I have been using ChatGPTs and other things like that, like Google's Bard, and also there's one called Cloud, and Microsoft had the Bing chat, which is actually pretty good. But sometimes it will give you the bogus answers, and you just have to know. You have to have the kind of, in a way, overall kind of idea what is going on. So ChatGPT, those can become good, kind of like I think it's a more kind of entry level kind of assistant for you, but you have to know whether or not they provide you the right service. Yeah. The reason actually I put AI in my book is actually it's for different reason. The reason is because the AI, then business don't need that many white collar workers, and that'll be huge, because that means a lot of kids who go to college when they graduate they couldn't find a job. Now,
okay.
Yeah. Now if you get into engineering, that's always have job. Right, but if you just go there, you learn like social studies and histories and literature and philosophy, things like that. Then you have a hard time to get the job.
Yeah, because basically, if you give them 2 or 3 premises to give the AI that, it'll write you a whole paper, or the whole thing. So we've actually experimented with that a little bit, given it, and I'll tell you what, it's fast, it's super fast, and it'll give you a very good generalization of what you're trying to go for.
Right.
And it's and I think it's coming for sure. I was actually contacted by a company to be a senior consultant liaison. They're building the AI warehouses. I mean, these are like 4-story buildings with all this storage and memory in it all over the country. So it's coming. I mean, it's coming. And you think about that kind of Google enterprise with the storage and the computer capacity, and they have to go out and they have to check the water sources to make sure they can cool this thing. So, I mean, it sounds it does sound like we will not have the magic 8 ball to rely on anymore. We'll actually use these computers. So
it sounds like to me. It sounds like to me that we want blue collar. We definitely need blue collar. I mean, that's the backbone of America. But we're moving into a green collar type of area where these industrial jobs that have pensions like Allison and places like that, that's becoming a thing of the past. So I guess my question to you, Dr. Ping, would be, how do we incorporate this in our current education system that seems to be very unstable? We already poured thousands upon thousands of dollars into state-funded programs to be magnet schools. I mean, you go out to the west side of the city, you'll still see some remnants of them there.
Right.
How do we actually incorporate this to give us quantifiable results to where we can see, okay, we can have this in our education system. It has increased grades, and it's not just a fluke because they're using the system to get the answers, but they actually understand the process of what's going on there.
Right. Yeah. So there's a short answer and a long answer. The short answer is the current education system is incapable of doing all that. And I think we have tried, right? We tried since the 80s. I don't know if you remember the report came out, I think it's 82. It's called A Nation at Risk.
I was born in 92, so I would not know.
82. Okay. So that's when the department, the federal Department of Education started and all that. So the government wants to get involved trying to fixing it, but now they're actually even worse. So that's a kind of short answer. It won't work no matter how you try on the Carter system. The longer answer is basically what in my book I was kind of trying to figure out. I spent several years research on this, and so I look back at the history of our education, and our current system actually is built in about 100 years ago, based on the German model, which is to produce workers and soldiers. And that's our current education model was built on, was designed to produce workers and soldiers. But now we got to the age that we don't need that many workers. We probably need some soldiers, but won't be that many, right? Even like in the military, now they're starting to use drones and AIs. And they actually have AIs flying F-15 to actually compete human pilots. So now we have a system which keep producing the product, but nobody wants it. So that's our problem we have. But on the other hand, if you're looking at the market, what right now market need is entrepreneurs.
But a saturation of it, though, becomes too dangerous.
What's that?
The saturation of it becomes too dangerous. It becomes, if you have too many artists wanting to do the same thing, their art tends to be devalued. Shouldn't we diversify that in more than just going green? What about, teaching them how to farm or things of that nature? Do we have to go the technological route? Is there still room to do manual labor?
Right. You don't have to go. That's where being an entrepreneur had entrepreneur mindset that helped greatly, because anything we learn right now, it will become obsolete very fast. I mean, that's the word about it. It doesn't matter you go to best college. I mean, once you graduate, most of them become obsolete. And also the AI going to take out a lot of kind of entry level jobs. But to have the entrepreneur mindset, and that's what back then when I was looking at Lucy and I was talking, that's how we clicked. Because we don't have enough entrepreneurs. We need entrepreneurs right now. But being entrepreneurs, you'll figure out your niche. You may be good at farming, you can be a farmer. And if you're good at mechanics, you start your own shop, or you become let's say
bricklayer. You could be a bricklayer. That has not changed for years and years and years. So that's why I picked bricklayer. I figured AI is not going to be able to lay a brick. I'm sorry.
Yeah, some things are coming. It's the 3D print.
Let's figure out a way, John. AI is going to eliminate that too.
I mean, that's my fear. Is it getting eliminated? Yeah. Is these jobs for humans?
But human can do something else, right?
Like what?
When you eliminate everything, doesn't this mean that AI and robotics can eliminate white collar and blue collar jobs now? You said that it will eliminate white collar jobs potentially, but then it's already on the cusp of eliminating potentially blue collar jobs, with automated manufacturing and things that.
Right.
So where are the humans?
That's the social problem we are facing. We're going to have a lot of kids who graduate from high schools and colleges, and there is no job for them. I mean, that's reality.
But then is this a route that we shouldn't go down? It's the whole Jurassic Park thing. Thank you, Jordan, for knowing that. We didn't know whether or not we could, or we were so worried about whether or not we could, we didn't think about if we should. And it's what are we doing?
Well, this is what I wrote my book for, is to provide a solution to it. So the solution actually is it's hard to let's say I'm trying to explain as best as I can. If you look at back at the history, what's the purpose of history, right? Very beginning on, the education is for the kids of the ruling class. I mean, the prince and princesses, the nobilities and all that. So I call that education 1.0 because the education was personal, and you got several teachers teach the same, the one kid, bring them in, help them so that they can become rulers. And then about 2,000 years ago, we started another kind of education is to help people to get into become managers. So they are not rulers, but they are managers. They are running things like the CEOs and all that. And I call that education 2.0. And we have that. I mean, if you look at the private colleges like Harvard and Yale and Oxford and Cambridge, those are education 2.0. But then we have this something I call education 3.0 that was started in about 100 years ago because the Industrial Revolution, the industry, the society needs a lot of workers. So therefore, they need to have a mass education because before that, there's no mass education, right? They don't. I mean, the reason they want to educate everyone, definitely is not just for the benefit of the kids. It's benefit also for whoever running factories and running the country. So those people are educated workers. So you can see that the three versions. First of all, version is for rulers. Second is for managers and the professionals, lawyers, things like that, and engineers and scientists. And then you have the third, which is to mass produce workers and soldiers. And now that's a problem we have. Education 3.0, this is a problem we are facing because since the 80s, we just throw money at it. It doesn't fix. It's because it was not designed for what we want. And we want them to fix our current problem, but they are not designed for that, right? So it's kind of now you have a typewriter. Well, you can fix a typewriter, but why should you fix it? You have something better. So that's I provide education 4.0, which is actually like education 2.0, is to help kids to figure out, to train them as rulers, as entrepreneurs. Because entrepreneur, basically, you are owner of business. You couldn't just by yourself, or you have a couple of people. But if you look at what's going on, if you statistic in the past, 20 years or 10 years, there are more and more people get into, we call freelancing, right? And some did well, some didn't do well. But more and more people starting to pick up, wants to do this, usually become gig, jobs, but now become the main jobs, things like that. But those people, they need to learn the skills to be entrepreneur. So basically, they need to they need to really understand history, right? If we understand history, they can know what's coming out. And second of all, they need to know how to read and write and how to persuade people and how to really have a good, solid math skills for all that. But in the past, the only education provided is very expensive schools. We still have those, I call education 2.0 schools. Normally, they will charge you $50,000 per year. This is a high school. But now with homeschooling, we actually, and also because the internet, and actually because the AI, now we actually have access to all the materials. So families can educate their kids, can provide them a good education that the current education is not capable of offering. So I think if we just keep trying to fix what we have today, it will never happen. It just Aaron's fool's errand to get it. Yeah.
Go ahead, Jordan.
I just think here's the best solution, the easiest solution. Possibly instead of throwing money at it, Dr. Ping, I agree with you. Mm-hmm. Why don't we give half that money to the teacher's pension? Why don't we make sure we make our teachers here in Indiana competitive so they can teach the students? Give them the exact resources they need so we can get one-on-one individual learning for each student. My issue is, Dr. Ping, is that if we continue to approach a situation that we're calling a doomboggle, but we're also drafting plans for the future, but we have no way to connect the present to that future, it's going to cause this system to continuously repeat. Probably in 20 or 30 or 40 years from now, they will be looking back on this situation and saying, when they attempted to fix it, instead of trying to deal with it step by step by making sure, are the teachers being paid good? How is the actual infrastructure of the school? What's going on with the families at home? I mean, there's issues with parents becoming teachers, because if they never had a good education, you're now leading the blind, lead the blind, essentially.
Yeah,
that's my only concern.
Yeah, that's why, I mean, I'm very encouraged. Actually, I see a lot of homeschool co-ops popping up, and also some I call Christian classic education, those schools, private schools, micro schools, those schools pop up. And those can easily help people who has no means. And I really wish that the churches can take responsibility, can do that. They can provide free education to kids if they want.
Yeah, that's one of the I was literally thinking that today when I was driving up from the job. I went by Chapel Rock over on 21st Street, and they have kids that go to daycare and stuff there. I'm thinking, churches would be the perfect opportunity for people to do this,
right?
And I mean, look at Fisher's Christian Academy, John.
Wow, that's Fisher's. Who knows what?
Hey, wait a second. I had my kids at Horizon. As soon as the vouchers came in, we were living in Noblesville, and I had a daughter that could drive, so she loaded up things and went to Horizon Christian School, and they did an awesome job.
Yeah. Well,
I was just being a wise guy about the new sex, the new sex offender at the schools. So we.
Yeah. Which one now? What was this?
There's a story at Fisher. Yeah, it's at Fisher's Christian Academy. The teacher had resigned on the 26th of September. He was just arrested. Mm-hmm. He'd been having an inappropriate relationship with a student, an underage student. He's from California. He has allegations that have happened in California too. I just don't know that.
What a catch-22.
Yeah.
It just goes to show you that there are bad people everywhere, and it's up to the people hiring them to be super vigilant, and it's up to the parents to be super vigilant. Mm-hmm. I'm 52, and I can tell you between my senior year when I graduated and I went to IUPUI. That summer, I was approached by a guy that had been one of our long-term, he wasn't a regular teacher, he was a substitute teacher. He was everybody's substitute teacher. But as soon as I graduated, I was fair game to him, and just like so many other girls were. So, this is, and I was in public school. So this is not anything that, it doesn't matter if you're professing Jesus or not, you better check their background.
Yeah. Well, that's like when, I've been a camp counselor for about 40 something years, since I was like 18. And, when we first were camp counselors, they just let you go. But the last probably 17, 15 years, hey, we got background check, you got everything. Mm-hmm. And when I do the substitute teacher, it's, background check, healthy boundaries class. There's a lot of classes on that, but I don't, to me, I don't know if that must not be working, because apparently this Christian school didn't do their due diligence, and they let a creeper in there, and that's the worst. And it just seems like that's just it used to be very uncommon. And one trivia question, maybe some of you all remember Mary Kay Letourneau. From her maiden name is Schmitz. No relation, all right? But her dad ran for president in 1972, John Schmitz. So that was she was one of 6 kids, I believe, that were in that family. So she's from California. So the first thing you want to look at, you get a teacher from California, you better check them out double, because it sounds like that place over there, they're pretty froggy. So you better dot your I's and cross your T's. Check your people. I mean, come on. It's like our kids are important, and we need to maintain some rapport that's decent. So anyway, I got off into the rabbit hole there, but I thought you might find that trivia quite interesting, because she was one of the first. I think her student was 8th grade. She goes to jail, I think, for that. Gets out. They get married, have a couple kids. They get divorced, and then she just passed away about 3 or 4 years ago. So, I mean, it's just crazy. So anyway, there you go. There's your story of craziness of how these things work out. So anyway, Brad, you got another question? Bail me out here. So,
you're muted. You're muted.
You're muted. You're muted. You're muted. I don't know if I can unmute him.
The other room. That was why.
Oh,
okay. So, no, I have a ton of questions. Yeah, I guess like for, like Lucy had even like talked about your reputation, and Jordan too. Like just your reputation in the community seems very, very pristine. So, I have a question as to like why you would ally yourself with like a group like Purple for Parents, or and I'm not sure
he's not a communist. Because he's not a communist.
Well, but neither am I. And like Purple for Parents is like terrifying as an organization.
Red for Ed is terrifying as an organization. They want to continually steal money from me and have miserable academic outcomes and protect predatory teachers. So there's got to be something that's the opposite of that.
I mean, there's got to be something in the middle then, Lucy. Like there totally needs to be something in the middle. Because Purple for Parents calling me a pedophile and a groomer and all that kind of stuff is like, and Dr. Ping, you're a math teacher. So like, as a teacher too, like, how would you feel if you were, called a pedophile, a groomer, any of those things just because you were in that position?
Well, yeah, it's definitely, I don't know, but calling someone that's serious thing. Yeah, we got to be careful. And also, I think in today's world, it's so easy to get politicized. And sometimes means very hard for people to just have a conversation and just trying to be rational, right? And pretty soon, then someone will pull you this way, someone will pull you that way. Then you have to say something about, some political issues. But for me, my thing is pretty easy, because the reason I got into education really because my kids were not educated. Those my kids, they are smart. That's the problem. Smart kids in America, they are not being taken care of. They are bored in school. And so that's how I got started. And here is something, if you're looking at the education, something goes wrong. I mean, I think it'll be my next book. But one of the things is here, this is happening in my former school, which is a Christian private college prep school. And that we actually catering to people who is behind. We're trying to pull them up, but we forgot about people on the front. And so people on the front, or people they just got bored, and there's nothing for them. So that's why, in a way, I actually homeschooled my son because he couldn't get challenged, and my daughter actually he went to my former school and had 4 years, made some good friends. But I was fortunate to have the opportunity to teach her math. So, and that definitely helped her a lot. And she actually went to Rose-Hulman and graduated a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's great. And couldn't have got a better teacher. And, one of the things that I noticed as a substitute teacher, I did some 7th grade science. I did a class where I think there was some people that had a 2nd grade mentality. There were some in the middle, and there were some that were above. And the one size fits all, the standardization was just so frustrating, because I was probably somebody that held some people back in the day. I was the class clown and all that. And I just think you're right. It's not fair to the people that want to advance. So what would you think about, we saw, what was that show? Doogie Howser. He was like a doctor at age 16. He just ran through all the classes. Do you think that, the grade system is antiquated? Do you think that we should go on merits and maturity instead of just passing somebody along? Because it just seems like they just pass them along until they graduate, and they may not even know. They may give them A's and they don't know what they're doing.
Right. Yeah, that's the sad reality, is that today's grades doesn't mean anything. And even we don't hold schools responsible for people who don't pass our, I learned that should be our standard, right? And there's nothing there. I mean, the school can graduate the kids without any without any responsibility. And I don't know if you know this. This actually, the first time I heard this, that was shocked to me. That was actually 2018, 2019, and the Broad Ripple High School was closed. 2020, something like that. But that year, for the 10th graders, there's no one passed the ISTEP test.
Zero.
None.
Well, 10%, under 10% of all IPS schools are under 10%. Every single school is under 10% for iLearn. And, now Broad Ripple School is Purdue Polytechnic, and they have a totally different learning thing. We had freshmen come to our art center to see a nonprofit and how it worked and what they could do. And they had a project, and those kids were freshmen, and they were heavily involved in doing this. They had to make a presentation.
Yeah.
It was a hands-on thing. I thought, wow, that's really cool. Instead of just sitting in a class and trying to, I taught a 4th grade class, and we had to do the, what do we have to do? The social emotional learning. And the kids didn't even understand what the heck we were talking about. I'm like, really? So, that's
but
some
some
of
of them might
I
have, John, and then some of them might, you might not have liked that, but then they might have not have liked.
It wasn't a matter of liking it. They didn't understand it. I mean, that was the biggest problem. And I'm just a sub, so I have to teach the lesson and move on. But I was like, okay, we're teaching kids how to emotionally how to feel on certain situations that they haven't understood yet. So, I mean, the curriculum, in my opinion, I don't have any problem with, my thing with social emotional learning and be nice to others. We're done. That's the whole thing. Just be kind to everybody and treat them like you want to be treated. We're done. It's a golden rule. It's so easy.
Yeah, but as a society, we don't actually do that.
No, they don't apply it. I've been to the library board meeting. I've seen the Hamiltons. I've seen how the adults play together. It's not pretty. It's not pretty. And then if you are to make an observation about how it's not pretty, then all of a sudden you're getting beat up by both sides. So, we're not doing a very good example for our kids in that regard.
No.
But pushing AI towards them is the best thing for a group of kids that are not being challenged. I mean, that makes the job a little easier for them, don't you think?
Well, it's come down to, you can dilute it, like just have one-on-one, right? It's come down to the education should be a personal, should be one-on-one. But the question is, how do we do that? And
tailor
now
AI to the child individually, use it individually for each child, and then have it scale the child's learning.
Because even AI seems like a tool, like it would be like a calculator, like when calculators came. I feel like as a math teacher, it's like, like the calculator can do all the math for you, but you still have to understand how to actually put in the functions and have to actually put in the, equations and stuff.
Yeah.
You have to have the critical thinking. And, when I took statistics the first go around in college, we had to do a lot of the math into that. We had to do a lot. But when I got my master's degree in 2012, all the math was done by SPSS program from IBM. You had to plug in the variables, the independent variables.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just as you said, it wasn't about any of the math anymore. It was about the
different process knowledge.
Right. And it was totally a different mindset of things. And I don't mind not doing the math.
Right.
Dr. Ping may not.
Yeah, this is where we have to go back, right? Figure out why do we have a math education in the first place? So if you're looking at the ancient times, they all have to learn math, heavily math. We're talking about like the classic liberal arts education. Classic liberal arts education, you have to learn geometry, you have to learn arithmetics, right? You have to all that. Math is a huge big thing, but it's not for the skills that necessarily. It's the logic thinking, the logical reasoning. And that's something we need to focus on. Instead of have kids just learn like, how do you do a long division, or how do you take a square root of 3? I mean, I saw people in Kumon doing like square root of 17, and they say, "Oh, why should you do that?" Right? You don't need to do that, but you still have to know how to put the equation, right? How to set up equation, how to put it together.
The numbers are the tools, and then you need to build something with the numbers.
Yeah, in the past, definitely, in the past, you probably have to learn how to do a square root. We don't need that. But we still have to understand why we do square root.
I mean, I know the square root of a lot of numbers right now. Are you telling me that is just useless knowledge?
Well, it depends. It depends how you're using it.
Phone numbers that I learned long ago.
Hey, all you got to remember is where your phone is anymore. You don't have to remember anything in it. As long as you know where your phone is, you got it right here. I don't write anything down because I don't want my neural pathways to turn into mush.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you look at seriously, if we put our views on the side, our political views or whatever on the side, just looking at focus on the kids and what kind of education do they need, and what's the best way of doing it, and one thing based on the history of the United States, one thing we see that to get government involved actually may not be a good idea, right? A lot of things.
It sounded like it was all because of
never a good idea.
Yeah, it just sounded like it was all because of capitalism, like the Industrial Revolution, like you said, like, and if that led to the whole idea that we needed workers, it's really just capitalism and not to be the Marxist, Democrat, communist person.
They actually are, but
definitely the capitalism basically is supply and demand, right? They had the demand back then, so we have a school, but now that demand is not there. Should we keep pump up the supply? And right now we have a problem. We have a school system. We have so many teachers rely on that, right?
Yeah. Well, if you think about our politicians, they'll come out. Brad, perfect example. They'll say, "Oh, we're going to bring a battery plant here, and it's going to bring 1,600 jobs." I mean,
yeah.
But that's what is important. People.
No, and it's like really 4 jobs, but it's like the rest are all the construction jobs to make that place actually exist.
Yeah, well, I got emphasis over here by the airport where I live, and it was supposed to bring in 800 jobs, and I think they got 6 cars in the parking lot. So, and they gave them a big old tax abatement. What's that?
They carpool.
Yeah, they all do. I thought I saw 6 Volkswagens out there, and 55 people get out of each one of them. They were in
clown cars.
I don't know. I don't know how it worked, but they had big feet though, so I had to park far apart.
Right. Well, this is what I hope. I was trained as an engineer, and I was trained as a scientist, and I got into math teaching. I really enjoy teaching math, and I hope that people. It's unfortunate a lot of people don't know math, but there's something I wish that if we can have enough people to come together, really just trying to solve this problem, and just see what works, and figure out the solution, right? Without any, anything attached to it, without any political,
we are
baggage put on there. Just sit down and let's figure it out. I mean,
now, Dr. Ping, you're talking common sense now, and that'll never fly. I'm just saying, it's like there's so much contentiousnness right now. I mean, they kicked the Speaker of the House out today, for I don't know what, because he had too many gloves in his glove box. I don't know what they did all that for.
Unfortunately, that's nothing we can. Well, we could do something, but not
we're
much.
Not gonna.
But the thing is, you think about it, I actually have volunteer at a place called Hope Center. I don't know, you guys. Yeah.
Out on the east side, yeah.
Yeah, we help those survivors of human trafficking. But if you look at those kids, their education level, they're 3rd and 4th grade education level.
They're adults.
And read and write. Then what can they do? That's the thing, right? It's easy for the girls to get into prostitution and all that, but there's nothing else they can do because the school doesn't. I mean, if you look at the inner city schools, or just like you mentioned early on, IPS, they only have less than 10% passing rate, but they're still graduate kids.
Yeah.
Well, so that's a serious problem. There's a lot of illiterate kids every year.
I guess,
into that.
Dr. Ping, the elephant in the room to me is parents. How do you? The elephant in the room to me is parents and parental motivation / pushing. How do you? I guess how would you compare the U.S. to China when you lived there? As
from a parenting standpoint?
Yes. I want to know what.
This is a huge difference. I'm glad you bring out. In China, they have this tradition that 2,000-year tradition that education is important for you to get to have social mobility to move out, right? As long as you have a good education, it doesn't matter what's your background. I mean, you can become, high level officials. You can become the second in command. As long as you are good academically. So the Chinese have this history. So that's why not only the parents are involved, grandparents are involved too. So they actually pull everything to make sure their kids can get education. So for example, I tutor, right? I tutor online too, on the side. I got kids from China. Okay, they are willing to pay me to teach their kids. It's very hard to find the American parents to do that, unfortunately.
Well, I took my kids to Kumon because I want them to get there. But one of the things is, I wonder if the private industry, we see that creeping in, and we see funding going with students now. I really see, yeah, I know it's the death nail for public schools.
It's just the regulation needs to be there, John. That's really the thing that matters the most. I think is
and it's
charter schools or private schools are regulated the same way as public schools, and so far they haven't been. And
no, they have not. And but really, the proof is in the results. And unless something's way out of whack, either the I learn and the I step or the student, something's out of whack when you're averaging below 30% across the board. And the best school that I noticed was the Lutheran schools down in Evansville. They were the ones that were up the highest in the whole state, was Lutheran schools in Evansville. I don't know if they got the test early, if they did like Animal House when they got the Xerox or what, but they're doing better than everybody else.
Well, this is something I know, right? I live on the south side, Greenwood. There is a Catholic high school around College. I don't know. So they still produce very high quality students. And
when we restarted the fraternity up at Ball State, and I had 5 Ron Colley kids that were charter members. They were sharp. They turned 18 into 36. They followed the rules. They did their stuff. They were disciplined. They were all that stuff. So I would agree. I think that
this is actually a true story from a parent there. He told me. He said that his kids actually got 3.0. He went to Franklin College, which is down the south side, even south from me. And so she got a scholarship with 3.0. And so he actually went to school, asked them. He said, my kid's 3.0 is not that great. I mean, why you gave her a scholarship? Well, so the school told him, the counselor told him that we got kids from Roncalli. If they start with 3.0, a year later in my school, they will get 3.0. But if I got kids from Center Group, which is a good public school in my neighborhood, they start coming in with 4.0. After a year, they maybe got 2.0.
Yes, it's all relative to. Yeah, I agree.
It's a great inflation. Yeah, so I think Roncalli has done a good job to not inflate their grades. Yeah.
Yeah. My mom used to teach at St. Jude, which is the elementary school of Roncalli in the 70s. So she was a math teacher, Dr. Ping. I should be better at math. My mom was really good at math. She could.
Wow.
When I was in high school, she helped me with algebra, and I thought every parent could help their kid with algebra. Then I learned that no parent can help their kid with that unless they're you. Unless they're you, then you can do it.
Yeah.
So
I have been offering free class, teach parents algebra, and
hey,
very few
never
people
too old to
sign up
learn.
for it.
Yeah.
I hope Lucy
Hey,
will
Dr.
sign
Ping,
up.
I'll tell you what, before I forget, make sure you know, go back through this video and you can put your information in there, links to teaching parents algebra or whatever kid. Put those links in there because we want people to be informed with what they can do with you and all that. And I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to cover up your pretty face with this.
Okay.
With your book. So you need to go on Amazon. Do like Lucy. We've already got one sale from the Mouthwash Talk Show. Lucy's our best patron we have here. I would buy the book, Dr. Ping, but I would probably never read it. So I can't sit still long enough to do it. Maybe Lucy could give me the audio version.
Yeah,
She could read it to me.
John, this book, you'll find this good read. Very easy read, probably take you half an hour.
Okay, well, you obviously haven't heard the saying Johnny can't read. So I'm just saying. So,
can I show you another book?
oh yeah. This is
my first book.
That's your other book. Yeah, that you've been on the show with that one too.
Yeah, and that was because I see what's happening inside. Supposedly college prep school, because we lower standard, the grades so inflated that when the kids graduate and when they go to college, they cannot take college courses, so they have to take the remedial courses. And you pay at the college rate, but you retake whatever you're supposed to have learned in high school.
I should start a bricklaying college. Go ahead, Lucy. We're going to let you do the last one. And then we're go to...
This is such a bad thing to end on, but back in 1989, because I'm old, when I started
put another video.
No. When I started at IUPUI, those poor, unfortunate children whose teachers or parents weren't focused enough and didn't have them at reading level, and they had to take catch-up remediation classes. They were usually like, math 001. So sadly, we called those 00 stupid. Those were 00 stupid classes.
I can edit that out, Lucy. I'll edit that out.
That's not very kind, but it was real life.
Hey, kids are brutal. They'll tell you.
It's getting worse and worse now. Yeah.
So now it's like 000 stupid.
Stupid.
I really blame the system. It's not the kids' fault. I know. I teach the kids. I know.
The system is working exactly as intended. We literally have people right now who believe that if we cut down live, beautiful trees and we bury them inside a vessel that doesn't allow the carbon to escape, that somehow that's going to be good for the environment. Like, this is literally what Bill Gates is pushing right now. And I'm not even going to use that as my conspiracy theory. I've got a better one.
I was going to say that's getting there on that. So, well, Dr. Ping, I don't know if you want to stick around for the conspiracy theory. We could probably use a good Chinese proverb or Chinese conspiracy or whatever. So
I love
we are to that.
I love conspiracy theories.
I actually got one that sort of goes with the AI tonight, so I'm excited to get to this part of the thing. So let's go ahead and get our tinfoil hats ready. Come on.
Hey y'all, it's time for the conspiracy theory, so you better get your tinfoil hat out and let's see what's going on this week.
Oh wow!
I really need to make that a little bit longer because I have to push the buttons and get my hat on, and sometimes the antenna goes down, but it'll still come in good. So here we go. We made it. Get the ears on. We got to get the good reception.
John, when you put the foil on, you're not supposed to put the antenna on.
Oh, well, I need the antenna because I'm the host. I need to be able to.
You defeat the purpose.
You have to have it. Well, Lucy's got it right. I never get anything right. It's if you watch the show. By the way, this is our 140th episode. Man, that's crazy. Yeah,
hey, John, man.
We've done it, and
John,
and
thank you for having this.
We're glad to have you, Brad. You have redeemed my faith in the Democrat.
Well, let's not. Don't hold your breath on that. I don't want to.
I know. After this conspiracy, I may not want to. Right. So, hey, Brad. Speaking of Brad, let's just start with you.
Crap, man. Okay.
Typical Democrat. All talk and not ready.
Yeah, not ready whatsoever at all. My conspiracy then is just going to be about the NFL and Taylor Swift and her urge to take over the entire freaking nation in anything that she does. I don't understand it, but I don't have teenage daughters, so maybe I don't get it. Like
you're not a Swiftie.
No, I saw that the Kansas City Chiefs were thinking of changing their names to the Kansas City Swifties.
Ooh.
And like the arrowhead would be like a little Taylor Swift playing a guitar. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have that much faith in America right now, John. Like this isn't a good time.
I did not. I just heard the backlash on the social media about this stuff, and it's we had the Beatles in the '60s that were a big crazy thing, but this is sort of a different kind of vibe, I think. But and I don't watch the TV. In fact, I was we serve homeless on Sunday during the Colts games, usually at 3. So on the way I was listening, and the Colts were losing 23-0. I turned that dial off. I said, that one's done. And then I get in the truck after serving, and it's like they lost in overtime. What the what? So yeah, that was a good one to miss, but a bad one to miss. Yeah. So yeah, the NFL, the baseball, the sports, they've gotten some politics in there. Note to anyone, when you put politics into things, it screws it up. So quit it. Take the politics out of my football, my baseball, and my basketball. So there you go. And I may start watching again. Jordan Davis, what do you got?
Well, I got I guess somebody already beat me to the punch to it. But yeah, I think that Matt Gaetz purposely had McCarthy kicked out. So just in case Donald Trump somehow gets whatever's coming to him, they're going to try to make this man Speaker of the House. And I think if that happens, we might as well wait for Michael Jackson to come.
So you're saying they're going to put Donald Trump as Speaker of the House?
That's he said it before the man got arrested. He said, "Why not make Trump the Speaker?" And he just voted on the one concession that McCarthy made. It wasn't the Democrats; it was the Republicans that voted him out. Oh yeah, they set the scene. Oh yeah,
it's just my thing is like I got a lot of stuff going out of my front window here. That circus can they can get in line. All right, Lucy, what do you got? I see you shaking your head up there about the NFL and the House of Representatives. So
it is double duty conspiracy theory tonight.
Oh,
I got 2 of them, and they're both so timely that we have to talk about both of them. So this is a shout out to Jay Hart in the comments, who said that Taylor Swift booked multiple shows in Miami-Dade County for late October 2024. She'll be stumping for Dems. Yes, the October surprise that's anticipated will either be Michael Obama or Gavin Newsom on stage. Now, y'all know that Gavin Newsom is Nancy Pelosi's nephew, right? Like Yeah, I just heard this today. Apparently, Gavin Newsom is Nancy Pelosi's nephew. So that was a shock to me. I mean, not a shock. Like I was surprised that I didn't know it really. I was shocked I didn't know it, not shocked that it exists. So there is a conspiracy out there that I found on Substack today. Do you guys all do Substack or know about Substack? Long form blogging.
I know about it, but I don't.
I subscribe to a couple of them. Like Chris Spangle has a really, really good one. The We Are Libertarians guy. He's got a good one. John Rappaport, who's had the website nomorefakenews.com for 20 years. He's actually my favorite. Like he's on my bucket list of people to meet. So if you haven't heard of John Rappaport and nomorefakenews.com, go
Let's get him on the show. We're getting famous enough. We command.
Yeah, yes. You know what? We might be able to do that. Ping. And Spiro, go. Hey, you're taking away my second one. So let me finish the first conspiracy theory, which is that Taylor Swift has actually made a deal to promote all of this stuff along with George Soros because she wants to get the rights to her music back. So apparently Scooter Braun, who was her previous manager, was also the manager, I think, for Ariana Grande and somebody else famous that left him. He had gotten like $300 million in private equity funding together. And Taylor had hated him for a number of years. And so he end-arounded her and bought the rights to her music. That's why she's remastering everything. Apparently, the intellectual property rules around music are after 7 years, you can go remaster your own stuff. And then you get whole new rights to it again. So I don't know all the details. I could be a little bit wrong about that, so don't shoot me. So anyway, that is the scuttlebutt, is that this is her way of getting all of those rights back, is actually by cooperating with George Soros to promote Democrats. And, she's real big on the abortion rights issue. And this is where it ties into that Travis Kelce, I think is the guy that she's supposedly dating. Pfizer. He just did a commercial for Pfizer. So one way or the other, his heart is broken. Yeah, his heart's going to get broken.
Did he really?
Seriously, yeah.
He really did.
I was
You can't make this up.
No,
This is why
I
said
was
Michael
so
Jackson
surprised
come out
that
Lucy threaded it together with no problem. Well,
I did not. It was Substack that did. So I got to give credit to the writer on Substack, because the writer actually has a very coherent and persuasive chain of events. So let's get to the real conspiracy, which is not a conspiracy.
But that was just a warm up.
Yeah, that was number one.
Oh, I love it when rich
nobody
people
likes
fight.
Travis Kelce. Like, most football fans do not like Travis Kelce. Just
Well, he's ugly.
Well, you just
I'm
want
a
to
girl,
punch him
so
in
I
the
can
face. He's just a D.
Just a jerk.
Well, no, he's a douche canoe. Like, that's
worse. Yeah.
How's that compared to a boat? I mean, is that
worse? Way worse.
Way worse.
He's a barge.
Kayak
He's
might
so
be
bad.
worse,
He's a
yes.
douche barge.
A douche barge, yeah, exactly. Like he's the whole damn man. Okay, so now this is like the literal, this is not even a conspiracy. I think it was actually FEMA that announced that there's going to be a test of basically they're billing it as a test of the emergency broadcast system tomorrow at 1:20 Central, which is 2:20 Eastern. The reason that this is important is twofold. One, from a very, very practical standpoint, there are victims of domestic violence that keep a second or third phone that handy, and there are also some people that use cell phones with like automatic answer and stuff to like catch their cheating spouses and things. So what you need to know is that tomorrow, regardless of how your notifications are set, even if you have everything turned off and shut down and the volume all the way down, those phones are going to make noise tomorrow. So on a very serious note, especially if you're a domestic violence victim, you need to know that phone, wherever you've got it hidden, you need to go turn that sucker off, because it's going to happen. Secondarily, what does that mean? Well, here's where I think it's going. And this is the conspiracy part of it, for which I have only my own musings. There's no actual evidence of this, but I actually think that this could be true. So how frequencies can shatter things apart. If you don't already know about Raymond Rife.
What's the
and the
frequency,
Rife
Kenneth? REM. I mean.
Yeah, and you know what? A soprano breaks a champagne glass, right? Soprano breaks a wine glass. So the reason that this is significant is because there are a lot of people who've gone out there and they've gotten COVID vaccines, and those contain
nanoparticles.
Yes, nanoparticles, graphene, and lipid encased things like somebody took, I don't know who this was, but you can go look it up. Somebody got multiple vials of different types of COVID vaccine, and it didn't matter which manufacturer it was. They all had lipid enclosed viruses. They found the Marburg virus, Ebola. There were many things that were enclosed in these lipid packets. Now, what if, and this is the conspiracy part of it, what if at 1:20 Central, 2:20 Eastern tomorrow, your phone starts emitting these frequencies, and those frequencies are just the right frequency to break apart those lipids and release the virus? Then we're going to have a pandemic based on Ebola. So I don't know what the incubation period is, but in like a week or two, if you see people bleeding out their eyeballs and looking for brains to eat, FEMA did it. And you may know that in about 2010, it was all a big joke back then, right? But FEMA actually had a guide that they released online that was how to survive the zombie apocalypse. That was supposed to be a funny marketing.
She's not wrong.
I know it. That's what I'm just getting ready to say. I know a guy that's in the medical business that I trust with my life that told me that same thing. And he says, if you notice, these 5G towers are all built by schools, and I got one right over here. All I got to say is they'll never take me alive. I'm going to wear my hat tomorrow. I'm going to wear
one of the things you guys can do. One of my personal heroes. This is another person on my bucket list. His name is Curtis Stone. He wrote the book, The Urban Farmer. So he's teaching people how to farm out of your backyard and like 10 or 15 backyards that are all within a mile radius of you. It was a business model in Canada that he built to over $100,000 a year Canadian income. And that was a few years ago. The price of food has skyrocketed, so you can probably do better now. He also has FromTheField.tv and I subscribe to it every month. It's got all kinds of instructional videos and everything. Anyway, the point behind this is if you Google Curtis Stone EMF, electromagnetic frequency, blocking paint house, like he had his house painted with paint that actually blocks EMF. And then he comes through with an electrician. I think the guy's also a consultant, so maybe you can hire him, but it's the person who helped him, block all the EMFs in his house. And they go around with some sort of, I'm going to call it a tricorder. It measures different electrical frequencies. So they show before they did the paint and like where he laid his head at night in his bedroom is like 600, right? But then after they do the paint, it's like 6. So it almost completely eliminated the electromagnetic frequencies in the house. And electricians have long been known for decades to have the highest rates of cancer among all of the trades because they're constantly in electromagnetic fields. So I'm just going to leave it there.
Saying about those big towers, but it's like the Matrix. They're coming in and getting you with that stuff. That's great. So Dr. Ping, do you have a conspiracy theory or a Chinese proverb or anything like that?
I don't know. I don't have any.
Yeah, because you're still being watched by the Chinese government. I hear you. I see that. I see that loud and clear. I don't even have to have my hat on to see that. So, okay, well, it's not required. We do appreciate you sticking around. But my conspiracy, it's about AI. And it's not about the AI that Jordan's up there thinking about. This is about Amish industry. Because if you look in the Bible there, it says the meek shall inherit the earth. So if AI takes over, we rely on it. And if AI shuts down, how many Amish people do you think will be affected by it? Yeah, none. So there you go. That's my conspiracy. They'll be in charge. Everybody will be going, and the Amish will be just cooking.
Can I add something way up in the comments? I put in Lehmans.com, Lehmans, Lehmans.com. They're up in Northeast Ohio, and it's a totally non-electric store. So you can buy, wood stoves from them. You can buy woods cook stoves, which are even cool. Yeah, there you go. That's the comment. Thank you for that. And, beyond that, there are a lot of Amish-owned stores that are local to you. Local meaning like within a 100-mile radius, right? But a lot of Amish stores have non-electric appliances and stuff. So if you want like the washboard and the wringer and everything, that's about $1,200 to get one of those.
If it gets that bad, I ain't washing my clothes, but I'll be worried about, having some food. Actually, I'm on a job with Amish framers and I've been on with Mennonites and different things. And I actually went to one of the Amish, I did a job about 8 years ago, and he lives in Milroy. And I went down and I laid the block foundation for him, and they invited me to lunch with them and their 8 kids. Lucy, you could be Amish. You're already halfway there. And they couldn't have electricity, but they could have gas. So they had gas lights and different things. And I'll tell you, if it all goes south, these people are going to be the kings. They're going to be the one-eyed man in the land of the blind. So I'm just, I don't know how much of a conspiracy that is, but it's probably a lot of truth to it. So we'll just have to see. All right. Anybody got any last comments? Anybody?
Damn the man, save the empire, and make sure that you have your phones turned off between like 1 and 4 tomorrow.
Damn day one. Damn
day
one.
Well, this has been an interesting show tonight. I had fun. I learned some more about Dr. Ping. He's a great teacher. If you need somebody to teach your kids some math, some chess, to even build a computer, click on his link. He'll fix you up.
Yeah.
What's that?
3D printing.
3D printing, yeah. I have stock in Mark IV.
Right now I have a club inside the Greenwood Airport.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You do. I've done a couple jobs down there by the Greenwood area. Urology of Indiana and all sorts of it.
And Dr. Ping, you donated a 3D printer to a library too, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
That was amazing. I meant to thank you about that was
what he meant to say, Dr. Ping, is where's my 3D printer? That's what for the Alexandria Monroe Library. I mean,
it's not just me. That's the organization I'm a member of. It's called Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineering. So it's an organization for engineers, basically electrical engineers. Yeah.
No, yeah, that was really good for the community.
Something actually is very fast growing industry, and the industry actually needs a lot of talents. If any of you know anyone who's like to design, do 3D design, or interested in using 3D printers, there tons of jobs out there, and it's actually catching up pretty fast.
All right. That is good. I'm looking for, I got a mouthwash. I did not load the ending. So let's see. Let me get this loaded. Keep talking for a second. So it was a little chaotic there on things. Let's see if we can get this, if this will be the right one. Because we've had so many guests that have been filling in. I've not had the normal panel. So this may have the wrong people. I don't even know, but we're going to see what it does here. So, hey, everybody, we'll see you again. Hey, the new show that I'm on Channel 40 on is going to be at Thursday at 9 a.m. It is Community Wellness with KG, Community Action of Greater Indianapolis. And I believe our first guest is going to be some really fine, nice lady realtors from Indianapolis. We're going to talk about interest rates and all that with Kelly Vaughn. And I just had a ball doing it. And then we have Greg Merriweather and then our friend Ray Peck. His deck situations are getting straightened away. So I think we're going to have him on in a couple weeks, and we'll see what kind of pressure the mouthwash put on these people to straighten out for him. So we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Over and out.
Yeah.